Here we go. Oh, disgusting. Good morning, Internet. This is the old fat dad. Let me show you what I got for you today. Today, I'm going to be doing a comparison between the 9mm and the 22 Magnum. More specifically, we're going to be shooting the 22 Magnum out of this CZ 512 here, and then we're going to shoot the 9mm out of this little Sig down here. It's a Sig P365. Here are the two rounds we're going to be using. On the left is the 9mm, and on the right is the 22 Magnum. The 9mm is a Monarch 124 grain jacketed hollow point, and our 22 Mag is a CCI VMAX, and it's got that polymer tip on top. It is a 30 grain bullet. Now I can tell a lot of you folks are getting ready to ask why compare these two wildly different cartridges and wildly different firearms. As you can see on this ballistic chart here, the 22 Magnum out of a 20-inch barrel and the 9mm out of a 3-inch barrel have very similar energy. So I'm curious to see whether these numbers we're seeing on paper match up with what we see in the real world. Our first test is going to be shooting our ballistic model in clay here, and it's a cold and wet, overcast day. By cold I mean about 70 degrees. So this clay is pretty tough. I imagine that these bullets aren't going to penetrate too deep, because when this clay gets cold, it gets really hard. And we're going to dress our clay up with a nice little beef bone here, and put on some soaking wet blue jeans to act as our skin. There we go, she's all dressed up. Let's shoot her with the 22 Magnum first. Okay, first shot with the 22 Magnum. Alright, let's see what we did. Well, there's the biggest piece I could find from the 22 Magnum shot. As you can see here, it's just a bunch of fragments and pieces of bone, little pieces of bullet. Not much left of that bullet. It made probably a little bit bigger than a golf ball sized hole, and just kind of blew up when it hit that clay. Pretty neat. So those VMAX rounds had no problem expanding. They expanded just a little bit too much, actually. So I'm going to switch out. I've got these, let's see if they'll focus for you. Got these Maxi Mags. So these have a nice hollow point in them, and they have a copper jacket. So maybe these won't totally blow up like the VMAX bullets did. Let's give it a shot. Well, I think I might not have hit the bone. Let's find out. Alright, let's take a look at our two hits there. Two little tiny holes in there. Oh cool, we did hit the bone. Alright. One hit, two hits right there. Cool. And backside, good bit of damage on that backside. Probably not as explosive as the VMAX, but that might actually be a good thing. Here is our clay, and it's wrecked pretty darn good. I'm seeing a lot of bullet fragments though in there. I don't know if this camera will pick it up, but yeah, there's a lot of bullet fragments and bone in there. Well, let's see if our bullet held together. Let me see if I can give you a better look at what that 22 Magnum did. It's got a really big opening in the front. This is, again, probably about golf ball sized. And the difference between this and the VMAX is that it actually penetrated a good bit into that block. And I've got one of the bullets here. So it did fragment and did fall apart, but we see that the base held together at least a little bit there. Okay, we got the Sig loaded up with our Monarch hollow points. Got a fresh new bone over there. Let's see what happens. I think we got two good hits. Let's check it out. Alright, there's where our two 9mm shots went in. Oh yeah, two good hits on the bone there. And here is the damage from the 9mm. Looks like it went a good bit deeper than the 22 Magnum. Initial expansion is not as good though. Let's see if we can find those bullets. So here's the hit from the 9mm, and not a very big expansion in front there, and just kind of keeps that same amount of opening all the way through to the back. And there's the there's that bullet down there. Final test between our 22 mag and the 9mm hollow point. It's going to be shooting our small game simulator, the dog food. And this is mostly just for fun and to get some good slow motion footage. So let's set that out there and shoot it with a 22 mag first. And I'm going to stick with the Maxi Mag with our 22 Magnum because the other one just goes off like a bomb. Here we go. Oh, disgusting. Oh man. Ay, my poor camera. Oh no, that was a bad idea. That was a really bad idea. Well, that was a really bad idea. Here is my poor old camera, and it is just covered in dog food. I got a dog food facial as well. And here is the can of dog food. As you can see, it is completely obliterated. Not the best idea in the world, but the results are impressive. So 22 Magnum will take care of a can of dog food, no problem. Now that I'm done taking a bath in cheap dog food, let's try out the Sig with the Monarch hollow point. Hopefully it's not as disgustingly awful. Okay, that was much better. Here's that can of dog food, shot with the 9mm. There's where it went in, and there's where it came out. And compared to the 22 mag, some pretty unimpressive results. Here is the what's left of the can from the 22 mag, and totally destroyed, showering me with cheap dog food. The 9mm was much more polite, didn't even get a drop on me. I'm going to bring you over here to take a look at the bullets. This is the 9mm after it went through that dog food. Pretty much zero expansion. And here's what's left of the 22 mag, and it expanded pretty nicely. Looks like it shed a good bit of its weight. So that's a pretty big difference there between the two of these guys. So final thoughts on 22 mag versus 9mm. If you enjoy the idea of taking a bath in cheap dog food, there's no substitute for a 22 mag at point blank range to a can of dog food. That was pretty nasty. Otherwise, no real surprise there. Two very different bullets and cartridges reacted very differently on the targets. We had shallow penetration with the 22 mag, but a big explosive entrance, and the 9mm carried on through and retained most of its weight. As for the question of power, I mean, to me it seems like that 22 mag is pretty dang powerful, especially out of the rifle, and the 9mm is pretty powerful as well. They kind of express it in different ways. Like I said, the 9mm went all the way through, whereas 22 mag kind of hits, dumps all its energy, and the tiny little bullet kind of peters out there at the end. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking and subscribing, and we'll see you next time.